Hey everybody, we've got some really fun news for you today because Mercedes has brought back a legend, an icon, and one of the most ridiculous vehicles I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the giant 4x4 squared, and now it's built on the AMG 63 platform. The last one was built on the G550, so a little bit different here. We've got some numbers to go through. Let's dive right in.
Now, the G-Wagon squared in the first generation was a standard G-Wagon taken to 11. So it was on portal axles. It was on enormous tires. It had some crazy exterior styling features, and it was designed to be the ultimate in off-road G-Wagons. And the formula is much the same with the new one, except like Alex mentioned, it's based on the quicker model.
Yeah, so again, based on the G63 AMG now, we'll go over some of the specs. Obviously, it's been way lifted over a standard G63 AMG, so 13.8 inches of ground clearance, that's 4.3 inches more than the standard model, but 3.4 inches less than the last 4x4 squared on the G550s. So not quite the crazy look. You still have that rear bumper that hangs down a little bit so a car can't slide under you in this massive vehicle, but it's not quite as high lifted to the sky as the last model.
Now, in order to get that additional clearance, Mercedes has employed a similar tactic with the new one as the old one. So they've gone with a portal axle, which is a gear-driven hub design, which essentially lowers the wheel line of the vehicle relative to the body. This was used in many vehicles. I think it's used in Unimogs. It's been used in like the old military Humvees, but it's a great way to get a lot of ground clearance, and it's typically super expensive to do. But the big difference is the suspension design. So this new one is independent suspension in the front, solid in the rear, and the old one was solid in the front and in the back.
Yeah, so let's just talk about kind of the design and some of the differences you can see. Obviously, the lift gives it away that you're in the 4x4 squared, but a couple other details. You have 22-inch wheels on this vehicle with a pretty aggressive-looking off-road tire on there as well. And then you've got this light bar on the top that has these two kind of white LED lights, and again, just screams that this is a 4x4 squared. You have a spare tire cover in the rear and carbon fiber inserts all over the place, again, to distinguish this as the squared model.
One cool thing about the new one is they actually give you a gate-mounted rear spare tire, whereas the old one didn't have that, so that's a nice touch. And I also want to talk about those lights on the roof. So when my dad Nathan reviewed the old one way back when, they actually went to turn those lights on, and they learned that they were non-functional. So the lights were in there, but there was no switch to turn them on. So when we get our hands on this new one, we'll be sure to let you know whether or not you can actually turn them on, although that may be pretty difficult. Now, the design is very much G-Wagon with the round headlights. You get the very vertical grille, the very squared off bumpers. Of course, this is the newest generation of G-Wagon, so you do have the slightly different and more aerodynamic front end treatment. And as Alex mentioned, lots and lots of carbon, so we see a lot more carbon in like the extra wide flares. And just like the old one, this one is going to be available in some truly crazy and out there colors, such as this bright green, and you can also definitely personalize that.
Yeah, and the interior is kind of special for this vehicle as well. So you have Nappa leather seats. The steering wheel is covered in Dinamica leather. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but I'm clearly a sheltered American.
I think it's Dominica.
Dominica, okay. And then the dashboard, you have, massive dual screens, 12.3-inch instrument cluster. And yeah, you're going to be feeling like you're in a place of luxury inside of this vehicle and has all the capability to go off-road. What do we have under the hood?
Well, under the hood is a version of the twin-turbo 4-liter V8 that's good for 585 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque, and that's mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, the power is up slightly compared to a standard G63, so it's risen from 577 to 585. And what about 0 to 60 times?
So Mercedes claims that 0 to 62 miles per hour, which is 100 kilometers, is a few tenths slower than the standard G63, which is 4.5 seconds. So definitely still in the 4-second range.
Now, that's kind of to be expected because when you lift a vehicle this much, obviously you are going to get some decreases in acceleration, but really the big news is going to be the off-road capability. So you got locking diffs in the front and the back. You've got a great approach angle, which is like 40 degrees, which is up from I think 27 on the standard model. So they've really gone nuts with the approach, departure, and breakover on the squared, as you'd expect from a vehicle with portal axles. Now, it's not all about off-road worthiness because obviously a 22-inch wheel is probably not what you want in severe extreme situations, although the tire is so tall it'll probably make make up for some of that. And then, of course, like the side pipes, not also ideal when you're out in the rocks. But I'm not so sure a lot of folks are going to be taking these out in the rocks. Now, official pricing not yet been announced, but what are you thinking this thing's going to cost?
Probably around $260,000, or at least that. We know the pricing from the last generation, and we're not expecting it to be much cheaper. So right around $260,000, I would say.
It's a great point. And it's also worth noting that the old one pretty much appreciated right off the bat. So if you were lucky enough to buy the original squared at anywhere near MSRP, you probably did pretty well actually in the long run, because now they are selling for well over what they were in a lot of cases, especially if they're low mileage. They did depreciate just a little bit right off new, but now it looks like they're going for a lot. And then if you go to like the 6x6, which was even more crazy, that thing was berserkly expensive in today's market. But overall, I'm glad that Mercedes is sticking to its tradition, because, you know, G-Wagon is an insanely cool off-roader, even if not a lot of folks take them off-road, and they've made it even crazier with the 4x4 squared, but it might be hard to buy.
Yeah, so if you want one, get in line now, because you might not have a chance later down the line.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. This has been Tommy.
And Alex. We'll catch you in the next video. Head on over to alltfl.com so you don't miss any stories in the automotive world, and we'll catch you in the next video.